Welcome back for another fun video for mitten season. I'm so excited for this stitch. This is really fun. This is the stitch that was featured on TikTok that got so many views. This is the crochet knit purl stitch. Really easy to do, really fun, and very therapeutic. I love this stitch repeat. So this mitten pattern will come in newborn without a thumb for the newborn size, like a tiny baby, and it will go all the way up from like child clear through adult large. So it can go from baby to men's, and it is snuggly for all winter long. So let's talk about the supplies. For this mitten project, we will be using the Swish worsted weight yarn from We Crochet. For the sample, I will be making the size adult medium, and that will be done in the Estuary Heather. I also want to suggest a couple awesome great colors, which is the Dove Heather, the Nutmeg Heather, as well as the Copper. These are some amazing fall colors this year that are really trendy, but of course the entire line has an absolutely phenomenal selection to choose from. We Crochet is one of my favorite yarns, and this is 110 yards for 50 grams. It is a 100% superwash merino wool. I will also be wanting you to have a stitch marker today. We're going to be working in the rounds continuous. It's just really nice to keep track of things. You'll need a tapestry needle, some scissors, and then of course crochet hooks. We will be using the size G 4mm hook for the cuff only, and then the rest of the mitten will be made with the size H hook. This is a streamline from Furls Crochet. I'll put all the links for these in the comments. Let's go ahead and get started. For the size adult medium, I am going to be starting with a G hook because this is worked from bottom up, so we are starting with that beautiful bottom ribbing. I am going to go ahead and do a slip knot and then place that onto my hook. Now I will chain 21 for this size. Now for this ribbing, I'm going to be working it in the single crochet style, but in the pattern, you'll notice that there are 2 ribbing options. Feel free to pick whichever one you are more comfortable with. If you do the double slip stitch ribbing, I did that one on the hat using this stitch, so there's a video for that ribbing at the beginning of the hat. I'm going to start by single crocheting in the second chain from the hook and in each chain across. So that will be a total of 20 single crochet stitches. Now after row 1, we will turn for row 2, and this is where we will be single crocheting in the back loop only for the remaining rows for this cuff. Now if you don't want to chain 1 at the beginning of the row, you don't have to. It just adds a little bit of bulk and isn't exactly necessary. So I'm going to start right into that first stitch in the back loop only with a single crochet. And then I'll continue to single crochet in the back loop only for each stitch across. Now for this ribbing, you'll just keep doing this same stitch. We'll turn, working in the back loop only, work single crochet stitches. And for this size, we will be working a total of 30 rows. So you'll keep doing this for a total of 30 rows and then come on back. So after creating 30 rows of this beautiful ribbing, it is time for us to join so that we can start working in the round. So in order to join, fold the 2 sides in, and we're going to join our current edge with our first edge. We'll start by inserting our hook in the back loop only of our current edge and then grabbing that loop from the first edge. Then we'll simply yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook, doing a slip stitch. And we'll complete that all the way down. So insert into the back loop only, then the loop from the first edge, yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook. Now after slip stitching those together, which makes it look really nice, we'll be flipping this up to wear it. But we are going to rotate our work. We can go ahead and take our G hook out. We are done with that hook so far for this mitten, and we can start working with our H hook. We're going to start working around the one side of this ribbing. So we are going to be slip stitching 1 slip stitch per row around the top of this ribbing. Be sure not to slip stitch too tightly because you want to be able to have that flexibility. So go ahead and slip stitch 1 slip stitch per row all the way around. So for this size, 30 slip stitches. Now that we have done 30 slip stitches around the top, it's time for us to work in the back loops only of those slip stitches, and we're going to be doing single crochet stitches. Go ahead and mark the first one in the round so that you can keep track. We will not be joining at the end of any of these rounds. It's going to be worked continuous, so a stitch marker can help us keep track of that first stitch in the round. So work the 30 single crochet stitches in the back loops only of those slip stitches. And now this next round will be our established stitch repeat. So what we do here is creating the established stitch, which is what we will work in for the rest of this mitten. So in our very first stitch, we are going to do a split single crochet. And what that is we'll go right in the center of this V. And when we enter the center of the V, we'll also come underneath in the back, underneath the horizontal bar, and in the upside down V. That is a split single crochet, also known as a waistcoat stitch. Now this next step is crucial. You'll want to pull this loop up to be the height of the first loop on your hook. If this doesn't get pulled up enough, it's really hard to work into. This stitch should not strain your hands or be difficult to work into. So if you're struggling with that, it's probably this culprit right here. Then we'll complete that stitch and you can go ahead and mark it. Our next stitch will be a single crochet in the back loop only. And that's what we will continue to work all the way around for this round. So we'll do a split single crochet, a single crochet in the back loop only, a split single crochet, then a single crochet in the back loop only. Work that stitch all the way around. This next round is simply a repeat. So we're going to continue to repeat this established stitch pattern, working that split single crochet and the single crochet in the back loop only until we have a total of 11 rounds from the slip stitch round. So you'll start counting from the slip stitch round, and once you get to 11 total rounds, we'll go ahead and split for the thumb. But this is a really relaxing repeat, and it will work up quite quickly, and we'll be at that thumb very soon. Now that we have done 11 rounds, it's time to make a hole for our thumb. So to do this, we are going to chain 6, and then skip the next 6 stitches, and then work the next stitch in the established stitch pattern. So whatever stitch is the round below, that's the same that you will work. And then keep on working around. Now after completing this thumb hole round, we're going to continue to work in the established stitch pattern for 15 more rounds before we decrease. But when working the first round across these stitches, we will simply single crochet them, and then in the next round we'll be able to work them in that established stitch pattern. So now that we've worked the 15 rounds after the split for the thumb, we are going to start decreasing. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to continue to work in the stitch pattern, but the first 2 stitches we're going to single crochet 2 together. I like to work the first stitch as the split single crochet, and then go into the next stitch as the back loop only, and then single crochet those together. I'm going to go ahead and mark that stitch. The next 2 stitches will work in the established stitch pattern. And then we're going to repeat that around. And for some sizes, we may have some extra stitches left over, and that's just fine. We'll just keep working them through this repeat of doing single crochet 2 together, and then a split single crochet and a single crochet in the back loop only. So notice for this size, I have 2 stitches left over after doing that repeat. I'm simply going to continue by doing a single crochet 2 together. So I'm ending my repeat kind of mid repeat, and that works out just fine. So for the size medium, the stitch count was 30, and now the stitch count is 22. For this next round, I'm going to remove the stitch marker so I can see my stitch. And I'm going to work this round in the established stitch pattern, but we're going to be working it by doing whatever the stitch is the row below. So we'll have some stitches right next to each other like this, where our first stitch in this round will be a split single crochet, and I'm going to mark it. And the next stitch is a split single crochet, but the next stitch is a single crochet in the back loop only. So you're simply working whatever stitch is on the round below. So now for round 4 of decreasing this top of the mittens. For this one we're going to remove our stitch marker, and we're going to start with single crocheting the first 2 together in the stitch pattern and marking it. And then we're going to single crochet in the back loop for the next stitch, and that's our repeat around. So single crochet 2 together, single crochet in the back loop. And this round will decrease to 15 stitches for this size. Now for some of the sizes, we'll have 1 stitch left over. Simply work that last stitch in the stitch from the round below. Now for round 5, we are simply going to work in the stitch pattern all the way around. So we are back to our stitch pattern on this one. We're just going to work whatever stitch is the round below, and this one alternates between that split single crochet and single crochet in the back loop only. And now for round 6, we're going to start by doing a single crochet 2 together, working in that established stitch pattern, and then go ahead and mark that stitch. And then we're going to do a split single crochet and then a single crochet into the back loop only. So single crochet 2 together, working in that stitch pattern if possible, and then do a split single crochet and a single crochet in the back loop only. We're going to work that around. Now, just like we have done before, we have an extra stitch, so we're just simply going to work that stitch in pattern, and this has decreased to 12 stitches for this size. So I just checked my recordings, and it seems that it did not record me doing that very last round, which I'm pretty disappointed about because I did my ends, I weaved them in, and now I can't get them out. So I'm just going to go over the last round with you. What you will do for the round 7 is you'll single crochet 2 together and then single crochet in the back loop only. Now at the end of the round you might have an extra couple stitches and you'll just single crochet those together or work them in pattern. For this size you will end with 7 stitches. And then once you have 7 stitches left, we're going to weave through the front loop only of those stitches and pull it to close. The nice thing is I'll be able to show you how I did that with the top of the thumb. So let's get started on the thumb. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach my yarn to the bottom right stitch. I like to leave a bit of a long tail and I kind of tuck it in here while I'm working this. That way we can use that tail later, because as we work this thumb we might have holes on the left and the right side of the thumb, and we can use our tail end to stitch that closed later. So I'm going to start by doing my very first stitch in a split single crochet, and then my next stitch in a single crochet in the back loop. So I'm going to be working in pattern across these 6 stitches. And these are the stitches that we skipped previously. Now we're going to rotate our work and we're going to be working on the other side of this thumb. Now we're going to be working into the chains, so we're simply going to single crochet into each chain on this side of the thumb for a total of 12 stitches all the way around. Now we're going to come back and rotate to the first stitch of the round, and without joining, because we're going to work continuously, we're just going to work in that established stitch pattern. We'll keep working in this established stitch pattern all the way around until we have 13 total rounds. Notice we do have a hole here, but we can easily sew that together later with the tail end we have tucked inside there. All right, so here we are after 13 rounds. We're ready to close the top of this thumb. What we're going to do for the thumb is we are going to single crochet 2 together all the way around. Now this will take the stitch count from 12 down to 6 stitches for the thumb. So after we have finished our final decrease, we will go ahead and pull that yarn through, fasten off, and grab our tapestry needle. Now weaving through the front loops only, we're going to weave through each of the 6 stitches around. And then we'll be able to close this. It's the same way that this closed up here. After the final decrease, we simply pull it closed. And then we can weave in our end. Now let's not forget about these holes. I'm going to go ahead and grab my tapestry needle, flip this inside out, and stitch those closed. So to make the second set of mittens, all you do is repeat the first. They are the same pattern. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you hit that subscribe button so that you can join me again soon for your next project. Take care.